It's hard to understand the way that you went out. I bet you're living with a little hint of doubt. Maybe next time when you go to show your hand, you won't cut and run, you'll finally make a stand. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Existential questions always get you down. All you want to know is are we lost or found? Is there something that you feel you need to chase? I bet you thought you put me in my place. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. You can run, you can hide, but inside, I'm finally getting to you. Yes, it's true. I still love you, but I am getting to you.
Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5,
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
Welcome back to the Resupply with me, guy next door.
Me, DK.
And me, Fan.
Bringing you your weekly double tap of all things, but we need to change it. It's never weekly. Of all things Space Marines and Laserforce. Hello, gentlemen. Nice to see you. Specifically, our friend DK. We haven't seen you for a little while, man. Oh, let's.
As evidence of that, I'm back down to a 1 month streak. Yeah, I know I was definitely MIA for a little while. December and the first part of January, I'd say we're on the rougher side for me.
A clusterfuck.
Yeah, didn't quite realize like how down things had gotten until I sat down, did some self-examination and thinking about the various kinds of things going on in my life. But things have kind of brightened up a little bit.
That's
in
awesome.
the last couple of weeks.
Excellent.
I certainly miss talking to you guys, and while I can't claim that I'm going to be able to do a show every week, it's fun to see you guys. I'm glad to be back with the community and to say hi to folks.
We definitely missed you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not the same without you. You bring intelligence to the pod.
Well, I mean, maybe, but the bar is.
Yeah. I mean,
how can I insult all three of us at once? It's difficult.
But yet somehow you manage. It's a skill.
Well, to celebrate, chat's going crazy with subs. Thank you guys so much for all your resubscriptions. Ducky, 43 months. Glader, 40 months. Stallion got a 26-month gift sub from Lucy. We're on level 2 hype train. What a way to start. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's been a bit of a start to the year in terms of podcast stuff. Summer for us is busy. There's a lot of stuff going on down here, and by all accounts, winter's been pretty hectic for you guys too. So Drake with a gift sub as well. You guys are champions.
My city did not freeze over, unlike Than's.
Yeah,
but it's still been the winter.
Yeah, my city last week was well, let's put it this way. There was a lot of people trying to ice skate with their cars. And a lot of people going out, like walking in like the hilly areas of Portland without extra
which there are several
stuff on their shoes, and the videos from that were yeah. Suffice to say, if you got to walk on ice, you need extra grip on your shoes, whatever the fuck you're wearing. Just
you heard it here first, folks. Get some grippy shoes.
Grippy shoes. Don't
Yak
walk
tracks,
in the snow in your bare feet.
Okay, I'd imagine that if you walked on the ice, does it do the thing like Dumb and Dumber where his tongue gets stuck to the pole?
Oh, it can.
Really?
It can. Yeah.
That sounds not cool.
I've never been stupid enough to try, so
it probably wouldn't be like strong enough. You wouldn't be able to pry your foot up, but you might take off a top layer of skin, depending on what the temperature differential is and all that kind of nonsense.
Well, with that sweet visual in mind, when does the disc golf pod start? Ducky, we're not far away from doing something like that, I reckon. We've been
disc golf is a cult.
You're not wrong.
For anyone that might be keen, for any of you out there who are part of the community who might be interested in signing your life right, I mean playing disc golf with us, we're playing the first annual what is it, Laserforce Disc Golf Association tournament in April in Melbourne. So if you want to play some disc golf, come to Melbourne. It's gonna be fun. Laserforce is a cult. Disc golf is a recognized professional sport. Potato. Same.
Only because people refuse to fund our sport properly. It's all a giant conspiracy.
Well, see, my goal is, right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to build up the disc golf side of the cult to fund the Laserforce side of the cult. You see what we're doing?
Good long con.
Yeah.
Good long con.
Yeah. Speaking of Laserforce, we got a bit of a different show today. This idea was DK's, I think, and then I kind of put a stolen Bluesin twist on it. So it's gonna be a bit of fun.
You added the duper to the super idea, so now it's a super duper idea.
To be clear, I did nothing.
Dan was also in the chat.
I just said,
Dan is here to provide probably some important historical context for some of this, since I think he was probably witness to more of these.
Yeah.
I think either of the two of us.
Yeah, I mean,
not all of them, but
well, he was around for the invention of laser tag, right?
And the universe.
Yeah, that's right. That, my friend, is called an alley-oop. Hey, dude, what's up?
I got to get the punches in now, Than. I'm hitting the big 4-0 this year, so I really can't.
You're not old guy.
I can't hide the fact that I'm also old.
Haha.
But Than remains older, so
that
still
is true.
Valid target.
Nice to see you too. It's been a little while. Now I understand. There's some before we get to our the crux of this pod. I heard that there's some Laserforce happening soon in a town near you?
I mean, near is a very relative term. I mean, it's in Loveland, and it's in like a week and a half for me. We're doing another one of those extended member nights things
Sweet.
on February 6th and 7th. So I'll be there. I think the attendance list is there's like 10 to 12 non-Loveland people that are coming in, and then add all the Loveland people in. We should be comfortably 20 to 25 people over those 2 nights to do some stuff. So it'll be good to get more time in the maze, actually start playing a little more seriously, since I am actually playing nationals this year, which I'm very, very excited about.
Not only is he playing nationals, but he gets to be on one of his co-host teams.
Well, I'm not even going though.
Well, that's your problem. That's it. That is a you problem, Steve-O. That is not a me and DK problem this year.
We talked about it.
This year's a you problem.
We talked about it actually. So we played our first members night since maybe Nats.
Yep.
And I got a message from management. They were like, oh, hey, look, there's a group of people who'll be coming on the weekends. There's about a dozen of them, and they want a challenge. They want a new challenge. Are you guys interested in coming back and playing? And I was like, of course, yes. So we turned up on Tuesday, and there was about I can't even remember. There's about 10 of them, I think, 10 people.
That's
Nice.
pretty awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we played a like old school style members night where it was all sorts of games. We gave them a taster of a bunch of different things. Space 5 was probably the preferred game, surprisingly, and as was Laserball actually. So the kind of the two mainstay competitive games were the ones that people were keen on. So going forwards, we should hopefully have a bit of a crew at least for the short term. Hopefully we can keep them coming back, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, stoked, real stoked, because whenever you go through a lull, the inevitable question of will we ever have a scene again pops up, and
Yes.
yeah,
Accurate.
we've been through it a few times. Obviously, anyone from Sacramento has had the most extreme version of that.
True.
Oh, Slaughtermelon, what's up, dude?
And yet somehow, we're the ones who keep showing up to tournaments while everybody else who has a site is like, the scene's dying, the scene's dying, the scene's dying. You motherfuckers have sites. Don't let it die.
Yeah, that's right. Do the work. Put the yards in to make sure it's a fun place for people to be and to come back to. But we had a great time.
Or even if it's not, play anyway.
Just force it. Don't force it. Yeah, so it was really cool. Really cool night. The players had a lot of talent because they've been playing and smashing the public for I guess months at this point. So they were able to actually play some tag. Pretty open to playing by our rule set, which was cool. And
Excellent.
for the most part did a pretty good job at playing that style of laser tag, which is such a hard thing to kind of transition to, going from pop shots to shoulder to shoulder.
To not, yeah.
It was dope though, really, really cool. So looking forward to it. And I'd imagine that the Loveland extended members night is going to be a winner. It's going to be cool.
I mean, at the very least, it'll be more time in the maze. And that's and even though I think I hit 100 games there the last time I was there, which is
substantial.
kind of it's a pretty decent amount considering the amount that I play when I show up is typically not actually all that much really. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting back in the maze, playing some games, playing them a little more seriously than probably the last few times I've been there, because the last couple of times I've been there have been just for members nights. I didn't really have anything necessarily to work towards. So it was just, this is just a thing that I'd love to do with people that I enjoy seeing. And now it's a thing that I love to do with people that I enjoy seeing, but I also need to start sharpening some things back up and really
Now
actually pay
y'all are gonna
attention
see
to
how good Thin actually
a
is.
few more things. So let's
now
not go
y'all
that
are
far.
gonna see what this old man can do.
Let's not go that far. Let's keep the expectations low. And we'll see where we go from there. But yeah.
See this final form. Is withered.
Could have said something really hurtful right there, but that's okay.
I'm actually surprised you held back. I am.
Well, this is how much I care about my teammates. I would hate to, start bringing you down.
Teammates even. Oh, you did mention that before, obviously, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I got so tired of taking a razzing for being such an old man on my last Nats team. I needed to bring in Than to take some of the heat off of me.
Guys, look at that old person. Let's get him. You bring up an interesting point. I'd love to see a list of players who have played, let's say at that 100 game cap. How many players have multiple sites at 100 games or more?
Well, I did look at this a few months ago.
Really?
Maybe it was like a year ago at this point. I was checking like how many people have 100 games at X number of sites and stuff like that. Because I think I was up to about 5 or 6 fields where I had 100 games, and I think that marker is good because, like Than mentions, I think it takes honestly about 100 games before you can really say that I won't even say I've mastered a field, but like you can say that you've actually learned the field, learned some of the ins and outs, and not just, oh, this is a random thing I saw in a game, but you understand more about how the flow of the maze actually goes.
Yeah.
Assuming they're quality games, of course, and not just like random fuck arounds.
I mean,
but I think it might have been Smalley might have been in the lead at the time that I looked in terms of the most fields where someone had over 100 games. A couple of the Germans had over 100 at a number of sites, but they cheat because they only have to go like 20 minutes. Then they 3 other sites anyhow.
Bullshit.
Rusty, I'm sure had I think about 5 or 6 as well. So it was a relatively small number of people who had more than like 3 sites that had 100 games. But I was just looking among people who have a good number of games. There were a few out there.
Yeah, nice. Gibbo's got 5 games at one site, taking the turtle slow and steady approach. It's good. It's a good way to start. Good warm up. Should we get into Russ? Enjoy your adverts. Let's get into. Should we get into what we were going to talk about? Because this might actually take a little while.
This might be a longie.
This will be a long one. Longie like David. Let me quickly switch across here.
That is such a Kiwi specific joke.
Yeah.
Oh my god. There's really probably.
I thought that was about me. I was like, what, Steve? Guess you saw more in that cabin at the Caravan Park than you let on.
I mean, you did consume a lot of Fireball, so that joke was mostly for you, Than, and a little bit for Gibbo. Right,
and Stallion. Yeah.
And Stallion. Oh, I forgot Stallion was there. He'll definitely know what we're talking about. Yeah, we got a Tiermaker going. We got the Tiermaker. You're damn right, the Tiermaker. You're damn right. Look at all these people in chat. It's nice to see you guys. Hopefully everyone's good. Hopefully you're good. Hopefully everyone's safe. 2017 STO Riot.
We'll get there, Russ. We'll get there. There.
So, for those of you who aren't aware of what this is a Tiermaker. We're gonna rank. The Space Marines 5 internationals tournaments for basically the last decade. Sorry, 20 years.
2 decades.
2 decades.
I don't know what you mean. 2003 was obviously only 10 years ago. Oh, shit.
Yeah, the 90s weren't that far away, were they? Yes, they were.
90s were like 2 weeks ago. What time does Buffy the Vampire Slayer come on?
Hashtag charm guy. Right, so we're gonna rank these. We figured probably the best way we'll go in order of the years, and we'll sort of shuffle them around as we see fit. We'll just feel free to put your 2 cents in, because that's the fun. It's part of the fun. 2015 D tier, 2015. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we have. Don't worry, Glader. It'll be fine. It'll be all fine. We'll get there.
Now we chose 2003 as the start point because prior to that, like, I don't think we were a little bit fuzzy on the details. So we're like, you know what, fuck it, we'll put the cutoff at 2003. It just so happens that was my first Nats, which I'm alright with.
Yeah. I remember 1999 Sugarland Nats very clearly, but it wasn't even the same rule set. I don't think that can really apply. And just for people who might not have Nats experience going back that far, which is a good number of the younger people in chat, back in the day, we didn't even have like a 5-day Space Marines 5 comp. There were other games mixed in. Usually there was at least a Masters event. Several years in the States. In 2000, we did SM4, SM5, Masters, and Highlander all in a 5-day span. I think we had a 2-day comp for Space Marines 5. So it was a very different feel and environment than it's become now, where 5 days of just SM5 is more the norm.
I think even like 2000, maybe 2002 was one of the last ones to kind of do that kind of format.
I'm pretty sure 2002 was the last year that where there was a Masters.
Yeah, because I remember hearing about it, but I don't think they did one in 2003. But let's start with 2003. So 2003, hosted by Oakley in Victoria, Australia. Some quick notes on that Nationals. That Nationals was a full rotation Nationals, which for someone who'd only been playing lasers for like a couple of months was quite difficult. It was a tough one. That was also the Nationals that broke the Australasian Laserforce scene for a number of years, because things were a little bit rough, for a while after that. But we'll talk about that. So finals was Brisbane versus Oakley. Neither of you were at that one, correct?
Correct.
No, I have only heard stories about this, so definitely take my opinions on some of these with a grain of salt, because all my knowledge of them is secondhand.
So, based on the drama that came out of that finals, because it was that there was this weird negativity that hung over like the week, and it basically just boiled over at finals, where certain players decided to veto basically all but 3 referees. So there was 3 referees in the maze, and that's never a good starting point. Apparently, shenanigans happened. Oakley ended up winning that one. Brisbane were not happy about it. I think there was... Oh yeah, one of whom was Stallion. There was a controversial penalty, a substantial penalty, and I think that ended up
later.
Controversial penalty that ended up costing Brisbane the finals, I believe. That's how I remember it anyway. This one rockets straight into D tier for me. D tier finals.
And just as a reminder for people, this is specifically like the finals games that we're ranking, not the Nats itself. So there were some really great Nats that were out there, but the finals wasn't particularly notable or something like that. So we're only talking about the finals, not whether this is a good or bad Nat. So don't be insulted if your Nats gets ranked lower.
And also remember that this is just our opinion, and at the end of the day, these bitches ain't nobody. So I don't know. Do you guys have any qualms with me putting that in D?
I do, just because it was still a very close finals between 2 incredibly good teams.
Yes,
and had some of the legends of the game that were involved in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
it definitely can't be an S or A tier because, like you said, the fallout from it is too extreme.
Oh, it was so
But
bad.
because it was still a close fought set of finals with really good players and strong competition in it, I would still have it in at least C tier, maybe even as high as B tier, just because of the caliber of play involved, even if it was like
Even if it was a complete shit sandwich afterward.
even if it was undercut by interpersonal nastiness, sometimes rivalries can boil over, and it just that's
the only thing that would maybe allow me to put it any higher than D, like no higher than C, is whilst there were legends of the game, like there was still some very, I don't think that finals was played in the spirit of what what Space Marine should be. It was nasty. I remember dubious play, like basically shielding. I remember there being a lot of shielding, a lot of chasing, because there was no referees, and so like like it just wasn't. On paper, it was awesome, but
well, I'll defer
person,
to
it
you
wasn't.
as you were actually there on this question, but I just thought that would be at least be worth raising as a
I
point.
I feel like it can go into C tier because some of the ones that we have for D tier are definitely worse.
Okay, all right, we'll chuck it in there for now, and then we can
Subject to change.
All right, 2004 held in Sacramento, California. The final between SAC X and SAC A. From my understanding, both of you were at this one.
We were on the winning team even.
Than does have the loudest keyboard ever.
I do. Sorry about that. So while this one like has some really great personal feelings, because this like this really was the culmination of like multiple years of inner sight battles and controversy, and to to take the win on that felt really good.
I call it Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah. At the same time, like it wasn't. We had 4 teams, 2 of which were Sacramento. So it wasn't necessarily super well attended, and for all the nice personal feelings about it, I feel like this is solidly B tier for me.
Just quickly, so for some context, a couple things. First, were you guys playing the international rule set?
We were.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Second, I don't know if you mentioned it, but did you guys say the kind of controversy around, was it controversial? I don't know, but around the actual teams themselves?
There wasn't necessarily controversy about what the teams were. It was more that there were interpersonal rivalries that were at play.
Yeah.
That there was another group of players who, and this was my perception as like, at the time, one of the younger members of our site, but like there was a group that I felt was viewed as like the cool kids at the site.
Yeah.
And then like Fan was kind of deliberately excluded, and sort of I was by extension. Like sometimes I would kind of cross in between them, but I always felt like an outsider to that group.
Right.
And basically Fan and I were like, well, fuck it, we'll make our own Space Marines team with blackjack and hookers. And so we started going out of our way to go to Friday nights and late night lunacy to recruit other players, and we got people like Tav, people like Fuku, so other people who are like known to the scene. I don't know, people probably wouldn't know Twig and Argy anyway, but we got like another group of players together and like trained together as a Space Marines team and started challenging the other group, who were still coming back, but they were kind of intermittently coming back on members night, but that sort of spurred them to get back into the scene.
Right.
And there was like, I think this went on really in about the 6 months leading up to that Nats. There were a lot of practice games. Like we probably had we're having a practice game like most weeks. Than I feel like we might have had a scrimmage against them,
Yeah.
and they were super back and forth and super close and intense. A lot of games.
Awesome.
So that there was that element to it. I would agree with Than on sort of the scope of the Nats, though. I feel like this has to go down in the tiers a little bit. Like for me personally, of course, this is ranked as one of my favorite Nats of all time because it was so personally meaningful.
Same.
But no, number one, there weren't a ton of teams there. We did get overseas representation like that. We had almost a full team of people from the Southern Hemisphere come over, which was the first time that had happened. We had 3 people. Rusty Night Owl and Dragon came in 2002.
Right.
We had almost a full team come over, mostly from the Melbourne area, in 2004.
Well, Stallion. Well, no, it was more of a mix. Al came over. He was living in England at the time.
Oh yeah, he was in the UK at the time.
Stallion came over, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
New Zealand. Supermutt came over. She was in Ballarat at the time.
She was a Ballarat player. I still think of that as like Melbourne adjacent, even though I know it's not really that close.
Flame Drake came over. He was Brisbane. So
I thought he had moved to Brisbane like from Melbourne though, or was it the other way around?
No, he was always a Brisbane player. So
bad recollections.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So there was a team that was,
Zach X1.
Zach X1, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
where are we putting it?
B tier.
Yeah, I would say B tier. It could even be C tier, depending on what you think, Steve.
I think
it was also anytime it's the 2 home sites in a final. I feel like it's like less dramatic.
I mean, yes, for some reasons, no for others. Like usually, if it's the 2 home sites and they're 2 close teams, you get real good quality Space Marines played. Yeah. That's the perception anyway.
So I'm fine. Solidly in the middle. That seems fair.
Yeah. Okay. 2005, hosted by Brisbane. 2005 was, I think, and if anyone in Brisbane wants to correct us, but I think it was Brisbane A versus Brisbane B. I remember
as pretty much all Brisbane finals are.
Some quick intro about this year. This year Than had started living in New Zealand. However, we didn't select him for our team. He ended up on a hybrid team, which he was not happy about. And I believe.
Considering that hybrid team got 0 pointed, yep.
But we did play a practice game, and I believe in the practice game, you
I turned you guys over.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, no, I turned you guys over 6 ways from Sunday playing Commander against you.
All right, calm down.
I don't remember who else was on my team, but I spanked the shit out of you guys, and I have very clear memories of coming out of that game and basically. You guys as a team going, wait, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
So that was cool. But there was also that thing happening at the time where Nightmare
he was going through some shit and
was going through some shit and he started doing maybe I'm just going to go back to New Zealand. Maybe I'm just going to go home. And you guys were trying to push him in that direction so you could just grab me and have done with it. And then he ended up not, and I ended up.
No, stop! Don't go!
Oh, don't go! Yeah. Come back. One other thing about that Nats, that was not attended by a full. It wasn't attended by the Oakley. Elite, I'm gonna say. the top ranked Oakley players did not attend that Nats. I think Al was still living in the UK, and also there was still
also see notes about 2003.
Exactly right. I honestly have no recollection about this finals at all. I remember we got beat by lots of people, including Wellington, which pissed me off. But I don't really remember this Nats. I think we did a lot of drinking that week. Like a lot of drink. This might have been my drunkest Nats.
Yeah, and I think for that reason, that it was kind of forgettable in that sense. Again, not to say like the Nats itself as a whole was bad, but I have this as a D tier finals just because I've never heard anybody talk about the 2005 finals.
Well,
like
look,
ever.
I'm gonna.
And I've heard stories even about the rest of these, at least some stories about the matches. So
Yeah.
that leads me to believe that it was probably Brisbane versus Brisbane. Brisbane A was clearly better, and it was not very dramatic, and it was probably just like that.
Also was working at Sidetrack, didn't have a lot of money. Yeah. But you know, if there's a will, there's a way, and it didn't seem to be a will. I would have a hard time putting this above 2003. Sorry, below 2003.
So maybe it's C tier.
We'll adjust later, but for now,
We're gonna end up with nothing in D tier because we're trying to be
there's
nice.
definitely some stuff going on.
There's definitely some in D tier. Like there's definitely some that they're going in D tier. That's accurate.
Right. 2006, hosted by Auckland.
Which you guys played in.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. Finals was Auckland A versus Brisbane. Some very quick notes about this nationals. I lovingly referred to as hands across Australasia. This Nats healed a lot of the hurt that lingered from 2003. Up until that point, everyone was like, "This is the best Nats ever," and I was like, "Of course it is. It's Auckland." Somebody did steal a bunch of everyone's stuff, which obviously put a damper on the week. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's about it.
So Ducky in chat just said A tier. Honestly, this is where I was going to put that. I mean, because there were multiple things going on with this year. This was the year that Auckland proved that they weren't just a total fucking walkover. Like Auckland was no longer free points.
Yeah.
And this was the year that solidified that.
Yeah.
And in order and Trad just said this to me that they were actually worried about playing us going into the final, and it was really like them coming up with the totem pole thing that saved them.
So for some context, the top three teams, Auckland, Brisbane, Oakley, for that week, all of those matches were awesome. We took points off Brisbane that was the first time Auckland had beaten Australian teams. We took points off everyone during the week. We finished, I think, top of the table.
We were not top of the table.
I thought we were.
I don't think we were.
I'm pretty sure
we were second.
No, I'm pretty sure
I would have to go back and look.
Definitely top.
So
Auckland finished top of the table, and that was the first time I did a haka at a Laserforce event, which cool guy.
Was awesome.
Yeah. But that for the week being so close, so even throughout, those top ranked teams, Brisbane came in. Brisbane must have finished top because it was double Elam, and they beat the shit out of us in the first two games, right? Yeah. So.
There was a whole thing where Lone Soul got a class restriction penalty, and I very cleverly was putting it off to game 3 because if we lost in game 2, it didn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
And then Trad got mad at me for that, but that's fine. But yeah, no, definitely A tier. It was a good final.
Genius, cerebral Laserforce play by some very classy Laserforce players. Then whilst the games themselves turn out to be they were one-sided, but it was just how we got there was pretty awesome.
Well, the fact that there had to be a novel strategy invented during finals, that is just the kind of shit that we live for.
Yeah.
As Laserforce players,
it's
like Rusty said, the caliber of player, the quality of the competition has to be its own reward because there's no money attached to this.
Yeah.
So it's if you just roll over the other team and nobody makes any adjustments, that's not nearly as fun.
Cool.
So yeah, I think this is definitely A tier. I had it in that. The only reason I might not rank it higher is just because I think there are a couple of clearly outstanding finals.
Yeah.
That I would put above it. So not everything can be S tier.
Glady, you're
Correct.
not wrong. Auckland is definitely the place for Nats. If you come to Auckland, you're gonna have a great time. I'll make sure of it. So 2007, hosted by Oakley, in Oakley. The finals was Oakley versus Brisbane. This is another one where we didn't really send an Auckland team to this one. There was like 3 of us, I think. I think me, Virus, and Hurricane, and we played with members of the Ballarat team. I don't remember why it was like that, actually.
So I know the reason that I didn't go is that there was other travel that
Oh,
I was planning on doing, and so it just didn't work out timing wise for me to be able to go. So I know that was why I didn't go. I don't remember the rest of it.
You would say that that's the hardest final you played, Ducky. The only thing I remember from this week is we went to a Aussie Rules game, and it was awesome. I think we went to a Port Adelaide play. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was cool. But I don't really remember a lot of the gameplay. It's funny that when you don't travel with like your a notable team, you don't really remember what happened. There was the bowling alley adventure as well. This year, I thought that was we went and played bowling at Ballarat, but I don't recall this year. Oh, actually, this is the year that we played a lot of Buzz on PlayStation. That was good fun. And
you did that in 2008 too.
Yeah. I think
that was 2008 more on Guitar Hero.
That was more Guitar Hero. 2007 we played a lot of Buzz. Huge team, exactly right. Yeah, I don't remember this finals. That's not to say that it was bad. I just don't remember it.
Well, I had to do a bit of sleuthing this week and talk to some of my Melbourne connections to try to get some of the recollections of this one out here, because this one I also had heard stories about, and I knew it mostly by reputation because I had heard that, in the finals you had like Tragedy and Beast and Freddo, and then playing against people like Mental, Duckman, Night Owl, etc. And really the only person I'd played against out of that group was Night Owl, and I knew Night Owl was really good. And the fact that he was saying that, most of those guys are like considerably better than me, just gave me a lot of admiration for the Australasian laser scene and wanted to play more with them. But I was kind of like out of the game. I hadn't played in several years at that point, so I was kind of following it from a distance. But like based on how I heard it described to me at the time, I would think this was like an A tier finals, but I also wasn't there, and it's possible that it's just clouded by like my memories of these were like the legends of the game at the time, and I wanted to see how I stacked up against them.
Hey Rusty, what's up, bro? Yeah, I mean the caliber of players huge, but Fredolino. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to make a case to put it in B, because I was there. Don't remember it. If anyone wants to challenge that, please feel free to.
I mean, the fact that Ducky says was the hardest final he played leads me to think that it probably was a pretty good, well-contested finals.
One. Yeah. Actually, if somebody could tell me the teams for that for those teams, the actual lineup, that'd be awesome. 2007, you had a double nuke apparently, and it would have killed the ammo, but you only pulled one. What a rookie! Right to D tier. Much better than B. All right, let's put an A. Okay, done.
Easy enough.
Right, 2008, hosted by Ballarat in Australia.
Hey, you guys were in that one too.
We sure were. Oakley versus Auckland. Auckland A. I could make a case for this being an S tier.
Well, I will tell you guys that I do have this in S tier. Like, this was, to me, was a very clear S tier case, for a couple of reasons. Well, one, although I wasn't there, I actually did watch the recordings from this game, since you guys were good enough to take those. So I actually was able to watch these finals matches, and the first time that I saw them without knowing the flow of the game and event, like I found myself very much drawn into the kind of the drama of the game and how it was unfolding, and thought it was just a great game to watch. The other reason that I very clearly put this in S tier is that it's because it was contested on neutral ground between the two teams in finals. And third, you guys were very close in terms of the level of competition and where people were on the
four
table.
Games. Yeah.
The
actual
went,
final series.
Yeah, and the fourth game ended in such a weird stalemate because we lost people, and
but
then
Spoonie died.
And
that was
then,
the game that Spoonie died, and Ducky ran out of shots.
Spoonie died off of a wonderfully timed. I think it was a counter nuke from Sam, and suddenly Oakley didn't have the shots to do what they needed to do to break us because our medic had died.
Yeah.
And so we went to turtle up. Sam nuked. Spoonie died, and Ducky didn't have enough shots, and Mental didn't have enough shots, and Hoodie didn't have enough shots. But Steve, I remember you, me, and I think it was Sneak.
Yeah.
We're all in one of the bases, and I'm just chattering away, and you're telling me to shut the fuck up, and I'm like, fuck you, I'm nervous, I'm talking, and we just kept waiting for them to steamroll us.
Yeah, and it never came.
And it just never came, and we're like, what?
For some context, some stuff with this particular one, as Ducky said, Brisbane didn't attend this Nats, or at least not a like full Brisbane A team. So I've forever put an asterisk over this, but that's
you can only play who's there.
That's right, and also like that doesn't, I think, take away from the quality of the finals that this was. The other thing is,
if we're ranking the Nats as a whole, that maybe that takes it down to A tier for that reason, because it's like, oh well, we didn't have like the site who was considered to be the best in attendance, but again, it doesn't diminish what the quality of the finals was.
Yeah. The final itself was a great fucking final. I feel like coming out of all of those games was like, okay, yeah, that was a really good game. And I know on the video for like the second game, I came out and you can hear me say, well, that didn't go so well, or something similar, because we had won the first game, and then the second game Oakley reversed it on us, like, well, that didn't go so well. But yeah, as a series, like, I'm pretty it's an S tier final because it was so even. It was on neutral ground, and this is important for me. It was played in the spirit which the game should be played in.
Yes. Both teams played very, very hard, played very, very clean, and there was no animosity like during or after. Like it was for us, obviously, because Auckland won, we were very happy, but Oakley was so awesome about
gracious.
it. Yeah, so just like really good to us about it. I don't think sort of maybe Spoonman got a little bit of shit, but that ain't my problem. Just very quickly as well, with that Nats, that was kind of maybe the birth of, or at least in my opinion, the birth of interactive Nats. We've told the story many times. There were no scorecards available, and so we recorded the score screens and then watched them back later to record the stats. All of those games ended up getting uploaded, and I think it's kind of the birthplace of media for nationals.
For us, yeah.
And there was one other thing.
It was fun to be able to watch, because with that still took place before our site came back, but basically, I think it was kind of in the aftermath of that Nats thing that you said, hey, just as a heads up, SAC probably is going to reopen Laserforce, and watching those videos definitely rekindled my interest in the game.
Yeah, for
sure. I was going to probably go back regardless, because I had nothing but fond memories, but that was like, man, I want to see if I can play again. I miss Space Marines. I haven't played in like 4 years.
All right, so I think that's a clear S tier final.
We'll put it up there. We'll put it up there for now, and then we might have to
might have to adjust.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll go from there.
Right. 2009. 2009 was hosted in Brisbane, and the finals, I believe, was Brisbane A versus Brisbane B.
Yep.
For some context, everyone on the Auckland team was either crippled or sick. Pretty sure Sam got swine flu. The hangover was real because we got our asses whipped this year after winning the previous. I can't remember what else was special about 2009. One thing outside, this was, I think, one of the first times that we... Oh, no, Ballarat. Ballarat was one of the first times where everyone kind of stayed in the same place. And
Yes.
It was awesome. Really, really awesome. And so as a result, we found the I think the Gateway Holiday Park in Brisbane, which has become the place we stay whenever we go play at Brisbane Nats, because it's friggin' sweet. I don't remember this final either.
Russ says C tier. Move on.
Yeah, I would have it in C tier. There were some interesting things that happened during finals. It wasn't a complete stomp, but the issue was never really in doubt. Brisbane A was going to win that finals. There were very few question marks for that.
Yeah,
and it was competed between two home site teams. So I don't think it can be higher than C, but I don't think it deserves to be in D tier. So I'll put it in C.
Wow.
Oh, we skipped over to 2009 in Detroit, but I don't know how much that counts because
that to me is a D tier. That was barely an
anything.
It wasn't played by proper rules. Number one,
Boo.
we weren't playing with the upstairs open. Gosh,
What?
so annoying.
That's the only place you can play in that maze.
Really, SAC was the only team that had any modicum of experience. Everybody else was like brand new to Space Marines. Detroit and Syracuse were close to brand new to Space Marines, and the Ann Arbor team that Disco 2 came with was not a force team.
Right.
So yeah, if that's a thing, it's in D tier. Even though it was Detroit's home site, they just didn't have the experience. We rolled over them pretty easily in finals. So that was kind of nothing.
Any Brisbane players in chat wanna make a case for 2009? Be our guest. I'd love to hear the history of that one. Can't remember any of it though. Moving on. 2010. 2010. Chula Vista, California. This was the Australia-New Zealand team versus the Chula Vista home side.
Which
and you played in that, kind of.
Okay, couple of notes about this week. Hallucinations, not so great for me that week. They were overwhelmingly negative. Considering the Australia-New Zealand team lost, basically their key personnel, they were still able to do pretty well during that week. This tournament was played using the I'm going to say the US rule set, the non-international rule set. I only played a little bit of this tournament, and it was garbage. I remember crying at one point. I was so frustrated and sick. I think this was the start of Kiwi AIDS. This might have been the start of Kiwi AIDS.
After you just said everybody was sick in 2009 and 2005.
Yeah, but like
just get sick when they travel.
But revisionist, so like, and we realized that Kiwi AIDS is a thing after 2010 happened. But I didn't like this tournament because I was very sick. This one was spicy. Playing US rules, not showing shoulders. Don't forget travel insurance. Exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah.
So for that reason, it almost this one again feels like it can't be any higher than C tier, and maybe it's D tier because of
let's look at the final series.
So here's the thing: like we can't necessarily throw it out for that reason, because it's just like saying, well, Brisbane wasn't there, so
that's right.
Rusty, we didn't have control over the rule set for that. So
and also Rusty does actually make kind of the point I was going to go with the on the other hand too. This tournament, because it got played under garbage rules, and then it basically inspired Sant to say, hey, I want it next year, and I want to do proper rules for 2011.
Yep.
Like,
I don't think that's what Rusty means, though. I think Rusty's point, which I do agree with, by the way, is that had Chula won and then we decided to switch the rule set, there would have been a lot of, well, see, they changed the rules because you can't win. But the fact that Brisbane managed to, I say Brisbane, but Rusty and Traj, and then the people they brought with them, including a very 60.
Fuck you.
Oh, Baden played in that one too. Baden was
Baden was it. Yeah. We had 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there was like Blair. Actually, that was a pretty good team. Actually, I'm like, oh yeah, Blair was on that team.
Yeah. Keep going. Who else was it? No.
Steve was theoretically on that team, but I didn't see him for the first 4 days of the tournament.
He definitely wasn't present.
So in that sense, yeah, the fact that they won using the broke rule set made it easier, I think, for U.S. players who may have been on the fence or who were unconvinced to say, there's something to this. We should take that. So for reasons of historical significance, I agree with Rusty there.
But the finals,
yeah,
itself...
I'm torn because of the fact that it's like I can't place it like into probably S or A tier because I'm like, but the rules were just so janky.
I would say B because the rules made the finals
dull.
Yeah, like just hard and unpleasantly hard. Because of there was a couple of very tall players that were able to just do this shit over walls, very high walls. It was just like, really cool. Where's the skill? Your skill is that you're tall. Rad. I would say probably B. I would put it in the B tier. Even though
I had it in B tier in my rankings because it was a closely contested final that I think did have to go to a second match.
Yeah.
Because Chula did manage to do some hurt to them, but then, Rusty came up with a different strategy and somehow managed to crack them in the second match.
Yeah.
He does that a lot.
Asshole.
Piece of shit. All right, and again, we'll have a quick look at the list after and maybe rejig some stuff. We'll see. Probably not though. That was that year. We also have in here. There was also the Oakley Nats that year, because actually the other thing that happened as a result of 2010, in my opinion, was travel to the States became more of an achievable thing, and actually I think was reciprocated by the USA scene to come down and play with us. Yeah, but yeah, there was another Nets also held for Australasia, which I can't really remember. I don't know why we put it in here, but whatever.
It was still a thing that happened. I think it should go on the list because that was actually played under proper rules, so that was a little bit different. But I do have this one as D tier just because the outcome was not in doubt. It was a pretty much Oakley just walked over everybody the entire tournament. There wasn't much drama. The outcome was never in doubt for that reason.
It happened. It was average.
Yeah, and which we all know from people in the Southern Hemisphere, average means it's really bad. So that's probably D tier.
We'll put it in D for the moment. If we're going to put that in there, I think 2003 might have to shift down as well. Man, Oakley, you guys host the shit Nats, don't you? The first
D tier one in there.
Right.
Moving on.
2011, Syracuse. This is kind of, I think, 2010 was kind of the dawn of that particular age of Space Marines 5. So after that, we got a much higher hit rate with American sites playing, as you can see by the next 3 years. But 2011, Syracuse, New York, Brisbane versus Syracuse, wasn't there? Any kind of things that stand out from the week or notable things from this tournament before we get to the finals?
It was a great Nats because I think of it as really the first modern U.S. Nats because we used proper rules. We had really good participation from sites around the country. Chula kind of dropped out, but other people were willing to send players. It was really good. the last 2 days did not go, especially the last day did not go well for Fan and my team
Nope.
personally, because we had finished relatively high in the table and then we got knocked out in fairly unceremonious fashion.
The Astroturfus Bay.
For,
Well put.
yeah, turf was great. But it was a good, interesting match, and there was a lot of good quality play because that was really where Detroit elevated their game significantly. Now, I wish they'd elevated it over someone else and not us.
Correct.
But, you know, you can only control for so much. But they really stepped up in finals, and Syracuse really stepped up in finals and showed that it was their home field.
Yeah.
Now, that said, they did make it to finals against Brisbane. They got smoked by Brisbane.
Right.
It was, yeah, Syracuse did have an awesome team, but Rusty, just your guys' collective talent, IQ, and experience on that team, just they were no match for that. So I think it's significant enough that I would put it at least in C tier. You could make a case for B, but I don't think that it's a top level match. I don't think it's bottom of the barrel either. So it's somewhere in B or C.
I would say B. I mean, if we're going on, there are 5 places for us to put things, and we say this one is actually average, not Southern Hemisphere average, then B tier is the right place for it.
Okay, well that makes my next call very easy. So thank you for that, Pan, because that will make the next discussion
happy to help.
Simple.
2012, Sacramento host. The finals is Sacramento versus Brisbane. Can we get a fireball hat, please? Just trigger your OCD. What?
DK needs a hat because I have one.
Oh,
And you have one,
yeah,
so
yeah.
he doesn't have one.
Yeah, he does. He's not really a hat guy, Dunks. He's not a hat guy. Yeah.
Well, especially I can't put it on the beanie with my earbuds in because it'll pin them into my head.
Oh no.
You know, I can't show off the glorious work from Autumn, although I need to get this redone.
Yeah, the grey wash.
If I wear a hat, so you know.
2012 Sacramento host.
Grayed
Sacramento versus Brisbane. Very quickly on
this Nats also notable because this was the only Nats in which your 3 co-hosts all played on the same team.
Oh yeah, that was good fun. I weighed.
I'm glad it made such an impression on Steve.
Well, no, I was surprised at the only one. So notes from this Nats. Pizza was good. I remember there being pizza. That was good. I did a trip around the States, not an acid trip. I did a holiday, and it was cool. I don't really remember much else from no notable things from this week anyway.
I mean, we finished considerably higher than most people expected us to.
Yeah.
We finished third because
we finished third with a good chance for second.
Yeah.
I made a bad call. Yeah.
I made a bad call. It happens.
I made a bad call, and Flint happened to be right in the correct place to punish me and Feek for my bad call. So
we did find, because who was our team? It was us 3. We had Pint Size,
and then Baden, Pint Size, and Feek.
And I remember there being significant communication issues due to accents. Because
if you learned how to speak English, this wouldn't be a problem.
Whatever. You guys barely speak English also. We don't speak American. Yeah, I remember that being somewhat of an issue. But the finals ended up being Sacramento versus Brisbane. As a new to this, are there many serious injuries in the sport? Pulling muscles, bruising for falling over. Well, we're about to get into that, actually. Funny you should bring that up. I remember this final series starting off awesome. This was awesome to watch. If I remember correctly, this was a 4-game final series. This went to 4, or am I remembering that? Oh, okay. I think it was shaping up to be. And then
your recollection must be different than mine.
Well, I remember watching it. I think it was game 2, whatever one. So what ended up happening was the first game, I think, was relatively close during the game. I don't know what the final result was. Game 2, I think it was game 2. Yama tweaked his knee.
No, you're thinking of 2017.
Well then who cares about this year? D.
Yeah, this one to me is like, if 2011 is B tier, this one is very clearly C tier. I mean, it wasn't the worst finals ever, but
Got your teeth knocked out.
SAC got kind of rolled in the first game, and then I felt in very shameful fashion did not really bother to put up much of a defense in the second game, and like did random positions and said they wanted to go out on a high note, which I did not approve of at the time, and it still kind of makes me angry to this day that I felt that they gave up and did not try properly in finals to defend their home turf.
Right.
So, and yeah, I had already been a little bit salty about not being selected for that team. So there might have been just a little bit of Schadenfreude involved in that, but
Yeah.
I did not think they put up much of a fight in finals, so I would put it at C tier at best.
Well, so I mean, if we're going on that sort of thing, like that they essentially tanked the second game,
Which
like,
you hate to see, man. It sucks.
is that
Sucks when that happens.
is that maybe actually D tier then, because they basically fucked around the second game, put no effort in, and
Well, if we're going by finals,
and
I
got
think
smoked.
you might be right.
Yeah, I mean, if by how we're grading this, like, if they, yeah, no, D, if given the, oh, we're just gonna random positions and go out on a high note. How the fuck are you going out on a high note playing not your standard positions?
Aiden, I think that was when you came out to Auckland, and I'm pretty sure I've still got floaty bits in my knees because of that. It was brutal. I had to crawl out of the arena.
And two other people on this podcast have also lost teeth playing laser tag.
Correct.
And if we're going to talk about the 2012 Nats, that was also it wasn't during finals, but during the week I had a collision with Traj and thought I broke my nose because I had blood that was apparently pouring out of my nose through the rest of the game, which I hadn't really noticed until somebody mentioned it, and I was like, I guess pretending I was Jesse Ventura and Predator. I'm like, I ain't got time to bleed. Because I was like, fuck this! You guys are not stopping this game. We're playing this game out. I was actually having a good game, so I'm just like, no, I don't care. I don't care if my nose is broken. I'm gonna finish this game out.
Turns out I don't really remember this year. I just keep thinking it's a different year.
That's fine.
You drink too much of these Nats, bro. You don't remember any of them.
yeah. I'm starting to think that, like,
Notice a trend.
Yeah.
2013.
Yeah, hosted by Detroit. The finals were Detroit A versus Sacramento.
So the tournament itself was pretty good. It was fine. The finals,
Quarterfinals and semifinals were also awesome.
Yeah, the actual finals. The first game was okay, but we knew going into the second game, like, okay, well, we have to do something differently aggressive to even have a chance. And we tried the differently aggressive thing, and I think it ended up with the worst loss in Laserforce Nationals finals history ever.
It is the only tournament game I have ever been killed out on negative points. Only time it's ever happened in my entire playing career.
What role were you playing?
Heavy.
Oh no.
Because I got missile. I think I got missiled by Micro. I got missiled by Scythe. I think I accidentally shot Than when he was trying to give me shots early in the game. So just a lot of negatives stacked up pretty quickly, and at least me, I was out within the first 90 seconds of the game, and I think one or two other players followed shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I think as a team, and unfortunately, this game is not on LF stats because I went to go look for it, and it's not not on there for some reason. Russ, in case you're wondering, if I remember correctly, we as a team collectively were like under 8,000 points.
That sounds right to me, honestly.
Stallion.
So
we definitely didn't go for bases early because we're like, we have to get upstairs, we have to get control of that. So
and we did
I don't.
not.
We're not a lot
So-
of bases got on our side, so it's hard to score very many points.
Yeah, so just from a sheer futility standpoint, 2013 has to be D tier because of it containing the worst loss in Laserforce finals history.
Yeah, certainly that I know of.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily make
it was another one of those Nats where it's like the outcome was not in doubt pretty much
Right.
from day one. Detroit A just rolled over everybody. They only lost one game during the ladder. It was to us, and we beat them by it was like 600 points or something because we kind of just played them to a draw and we happened to win. That was the only game they lost the entire tournament, I think, and
Right.
they rolled over everybody. So not very dramatic, and yeah, we got our asses torn up, quite honestly.
Moving on.
Right. 2014, Brisbane host. And I think we're going to the teams. The final teams was Brisbane A versus Brisbane C. Some notable things from this tournament. This tournament was massive. There were heaps of teams. Brisbane had, at least
3.
I think of this one, 4.
No, Brisbane hit. No. You're
4 was
you're
18.
jumping ahead. You're thinking of
goddamn.
2018, yeah.
Well,
There were still 7. I think there were 17.
There was
so it
heaps.
was still pretty big.
Yeah. We stayed at the holiday park again. Consumed multiple. I need to stop drinking.
At least from a social standpoint, that might
Awesome.
still be my favorite Nats of all time.
It was so good.
So fucking fun hanging out
Yeah.
with you guys.
Yeah. The holiday park was gold. The theme parks were awesome. We went to These Four Walls gig that year. That was awesome. Man, what a time. What a time.
Mhm.
They really
And-
do,
and-
Rusty.
Since I'm trying to emphasize positivity and remember some good things, I want to give positive affirmations in life. Like honestly, like we had just been planning to catch a cab from the airport, something like that. But I remember coming out through customs, coming through the gate, and I saw you and Al like waiting and waving to me, and just it made me feel very special.
Hell yeah.
And I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys for that
Oh,
so
love you
much
too,
because
bro.
you didn't have to pick me up. And you did, and you just showed me an awesome time. the
I
entire
think we
time
were
was
just so excited. We were real excited that you were heading down, and like whenever I get to hang out with those guys, it's the best. But
there.
like
Magic things happen.
yeah.
And I met like Hoodlum and Fish, and a few other people for the first time, and Muzz, Spoonie. So a lot of those people I had known kind of through reputation, but had never gotten a chance to hang out with them. So it was just so cool.
You remember the holiday? Like it
But
was-
yeah, the actual finals, semifinals was really interesting because you'll note it's
What's up,
Brisbane
Snowflake?
C versus Brisbane A, and not Brisbane A versus
Yeah.
Brisbane B, because Taipan decided to try some shenanigans with his team in semifinals and switched, I think, playing off of Commander, and it went terribly for them. And your brother taught them a serious lesson.
yeah. Shout out, Monkey Crap. I don't remember the final series. I mean, I don't remember a lot of stuff. We figured out the
Obviously.
reason why.
The grand final was not very interesting.
I didn't think it was.
Brisbane A was probably going to roll whoever came into them, but
Yeah.
like
Jeremy
I
was
want to
together?
promote it above D tier just because I think it's interesting that it ended up being the C team in finals.
Oh, this was the
Um,
Spectrum Awards dinner.
Yes.
Oh my god, that is by far.
And now you know why
S-
Steve can't keep the years straight.
we should do Tiermaker for post net celebration because this
Well,
one
that one's S tier and
Holy
everything else is below
shit.
it. so-
that might be one of the single greatest like party evenings of my life. It was so much fun. So good. If you ever want if you ever want to see an entire Laserforce scene get white girl wasted, that's the year that happened. Oh my god. It's so good.
I had not gotten drunk since college, and then I got destroyed that night. I basically didn't drink throughout most of my 20s, and I think so. I was 29. I was about to turn 30 at
Yeah.
that Nats, and oh my goodness,
the,
it's not where Fireball DK was invented, but it's definitely where binge drinking at Nat's DK
I
was
think
originated.
that was the invention of the chocolate daiquiri cocktail.
I had a lot of chocolate daiquiris. I had a couple of the mint ones. There was that ridiculous blue curacao drink that Beans and I got into. I don't remember if it was Jade or somebody else got us these god awful sour apple shots. That was one of the worst things I've ever tasted in my life. But
I remember in my memory, everyone in that region was so drunk everywhere. Everywhere you went, on the street, everywhere, everyone was just wasted. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, the finals was okay. I would say that I'd probably put the finals as C, not necessarily D tier.
C.
It's a C tier. It's an average C tier finals with an S tier awards dinner.
Yep,
So good.
I'm good with that.
We should definitely rank the awards dinners.
Next week on the Resupply.
I think the C team took a game off A team, but that's it. In the finals, did they? You were on that team, weren't you, Troy? You were on the C team. I know Monkey Crap, Mark Mallet, Zach. I can't remember who else. C team got stomped. Yeah,
I think Mark Mallet was on A that year.
Was he?
Anyway,
I don't remember.
You know, it doesn't really matter.
I would trust you.
Yep.
2015. Hosted by Loveland, Colorado. The finalists in that were the Colt versus Brisbane Hybrid. Now, I wasn't at this Nats. I'm going to go ahead and put this here real quick.
It's D tier. Move on.
Was there any like things that of note from that week? Probably not, eh?
There were things of note. One, it was either tied for or it's tied for the biggest U.S. Nats, and I think the biggest Laserforce tournament that's been held because there were 10 teams that showed up there. It was Loveland's first Nats. It was their first time hosting. There were a lot of really good, positive things that happened, and there were interesting matches that happened during the week.
But the final
was so marred by cheating, taking advantage of inexperienced refs, and just bad blood that it really left a very sour taste. So much that Scythe, who was on the winning team, like basically was dejected the entire night after finals and felt that he'd like sort of let the country down.
What a stark contrast from the year before.
But it wasn't great. I honestly felt it's the worst I have felt for someone who just won a finals. And I felt like I was having to console him at Denny's practically.
Yeah, I had this very clear memory of all of us being at Denny's, and we're sitting, and everything's kind of relatively subdued because of everything's going on. I just remember him like sitting, and he's just like looking at the placemat in front of him, and it's just like and literally just going, what did I just do? What? Huh? Like literally that brain spin of, did I really just help that happen? Yeah, it was which is a shame because Josh himself played awesomely.
Yeah,
that whole week, and especially in finals. Like even with the cheating that the Colt players were doing, like Brisbane was still playing them close, and like Scythe kind of ended up being the difference maker. Because they didn't have any viable strategy for actually attacking without Scythe.
Yeah.
So that part was awesome to see. But yeah, the rest of it bad. And Maniac is right. There was a lot of drinking that happened then. That was the invention of Fireball Beacon.
That was and again that's one that I have the clear memory of coming home from the baseball game that I'd taken people to, and I was the driver, and got back to our Airbnb, and it was a house of completely shit-faced people.
R.I.P. Russ's VRBO rating.
And I ended up babysitting like a lot that night.
There's your problem.
It was really just Braun when you had to babysit.
It's your problem.
Probably the drunk people you just sent to bed.
Yeah, no, Brawny was definitely one who was the most fucked up that night. But like 2015 is really the origin of Disappointed Than. But yeah, it was It was bad.
I regret nothing.
That's fine.
2016, hosted by
AKA Fake
Syracuse.
Nats.
Yeah, aka Fake Nats. Syracuse versus Detroit. Now, why? Context. Why is this Fake Nats?
It was called Fake Nats because the tournament itself, with any stakes behind it, was canceled midweek because of animosity between, well, I would say between the cult and the other Detroit members, but really between the cult and everybody.
Yeah.
That there were definite threats of physical violence that were exchanged. So the tournament itself is D tier. The finals, even though they were unofficial, from what I've heard, I was not there. Boycott sounds too dramatic, but I'd said I would not attend any tournament that the cult that the cult leader was at. That Craig was there. Yeah, but that makes it sound like I organized something. I just said I'm not going to play it. But from what I heard, there actually was some good, interesting, close games between the Detroit and Syracuse teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one where Beans also refuses to say that he has a Nats win, because he's like, it wasn't a real Nats. It doesn't count. No players from the Southern Hemisphere came, and B, the tournament became a shit show midweek. And he's like, I don't even know how much people were actually trying when we did quote unquote finals.
Right.
So I have trouble putting the finals itself in D tier for that. But if you're going to say these aren't real finals because it wasn't a real tournament, then I guess it's D tier. Maybe we just shouldn't have it on the list.
D for default. Yeah, can't have a finals if you didn't have a Nats. So.
So while we're here, I really feel like we need to move 2010 into C tier from D tier.
We'll get there. We'll come back. We'll circle back.
There's
a couple. Yeah. We'll have a look at it.
I'm putting my vote in for that now.
We'll put the big picture.
We had a nice stepladder going here, though.
Yeah. I hate to ruin it. 2017 Sacramento host finals. I remember this one. Sac A versus Brisbane. Yeah, I remember this finals vividly. Vividly.
Me too.
So vividly, it steps in for multiple years. But highlights from this particular tournament. This tournament was held at a really funky time during the day, so it was 12-hour days more.
Ish.
It was midday to midnight and beyond. This was also the birth of the Resupply podcast. This tournament.
Correct.
And I think this was another year where the team from New Zealand were basically all sick. Again.
Correct.
I also, I don't know, I stained a wall pretty badly with a crock pot full of pulled pork.
Yes, you did.
At our Airbnb.
Yes, you did.
Did you get hit up about that? Did they ever contact you?
I did not. Nope.
Woof.
Nobody ever contacted me about it. So
I've told the story. I'll tell you very quickly. It made pulled pork for everyone. It was tasty. Put it on before we left, and I put it on a windowsill. For some reason, this house was made from hay, which, if we know from the Three Little Pigs, you're not supposed to do that. So really, it's their fault. And the pulled pork boiled over and ran down the wall. And
hey, Steve, where'd you get the crock pot?
I don't know. Did you lend it to me?
You borrowed it from my wife.
Oh, did I? It ruined the crock pot as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because you even said it's like, we're just gonna go to Walmart or something because we're probably gonna ruin this crock pot. And you said, don't worry about it. It's an old crock pot.
Done and done.
I can't be mad. He said he was gonna break it.
Yeah.
Like,
we got back to
don't give the crock pot to these idiots. They're for sure gonna fucking.
There was no bench space in the kitchen. It was the stupidest thing. The kitchen was terrible. And
yeah, it was.
Like, so the only place to put it was on this fucking windowsill. And it looked like someone had been executed against the wall when we got home. It was like a waterfall of meat, of red meat. It was brilliant.
That is a brand new phrase I did not want to hear.
Right, the finals. The finals was awesome. Did this go to 4 games?
It did.
Yeah, and
Because we faced Brisbane 3 times, because in like the qualifier one to see like who stays in the winners bracket and who goes to the loser bracket the first time.
yeah,
Um, Brisbane had won that one, so we got sent down to the losers bracket, but we romped through that for the most part. Weren't too many questions about getting back in the finals, but then we pulled out like a somewhat narrow win in the next match. But I think it was either the only time or one of only 2 times we actually eliminated Brisbane to send it to the rubber match. And this is the one where you're thinking of, Steve, where
Yeah.
in game one of what was going to be the grand final, the tiebreaker one, it was close fought. My recollection of the game, which is different from a lot of observers, was I still felt that Brisbane was in control of that game, but we were handling things and we were attempting to make a move back upstairs, and that was when Yama messed up his knee.
Yeah, so I was reffing this game, and I was reffing from basically where he bailed, and it seemed so even, and like, it didn't feel like you guys were getting rolled or they were getting rolled, but I felt that you guys were ahead, and then he basically pivoted on the ramp and just bink, and down he went, and it was gnarly, man. I remember him hitting the floor, and it just sounded like a bunch of bowling balls getting thrown down the hallway. It was gnarly. Messed up his knee on your face. Ew. But yeah,
almost like somebody should have trained before the tournament or something.
But that did it seemingly cost you any momentum you guys had, and unfortunately you guys were beat. But the final series prior to that was awesome. It was really, really, really good.
I feel like, I feel like without the injury, that's a potentially S tier final. With the injury, I think it has to bump down to A.
Yeah, I agree
because it was
too.
still it could be, because the fight back to push it to the second match was great, but then that letdown of injury and that's it.
It was gnarly.
I think,
it was really gnarly. But yeah, really enjoyable final series to ref. Because again, like most of the good ones, it's not really that surprising, but most of the good ones, the Laserforce has been played in such good spirits, highly competitive, but in really good spirits. This was also the awards dinner where Taipan cunted his ankle. He's got cunted ankles. It was great. Great time.
Because hosting an outdoor barbecue in a park is a great idea for an awards dinner in the summer.
Yeah, it sure is. 2018 Brisbane. Brisbane host, and it's Brisbane A versus Brisbane B final.
This would be the golden oldies or
golden
Brisbane
oldies.
A.
Yeah. Some things to note from this one. This was the biggest nets that we had seen for quite some time. I think the biggest one we'd had in the Southern Hemisphere.
That sounds right, because it was 9 teams.
Yeah.
So my recollection of this is one of those, like, again, the tournament itself was great. It was awesome playing with Steve-O and the rest of the Auckland boys again. So that for me was personally it was awesome. But the final itself.
wait. Was there any? I want to shout out again because Glader did a really good job being a co-host for this tournament. I thought like some of the stuff that Glader did during the week was awesome. So just because you're there, Glader, good job, nice. Yes, dear for the wall. Go ahead, Dan. The finals.
So the final itself, I just remember, I think it was the first game went as expected, and the second game I remember being up in the helm and just waiting for something to happen. because there was nothing happening.
Red Rocket. Red Rocket.
Because they're like they just didn't come out to play.
I would I'd put this in C tier personally.
Yeah, it's not D tier because it wasn't a concession.
Yeah.
They were trying something. Just the thing that they were trying was real fucking boring.
Well, and I mean, I do have to at least give that finals match and that game credit for, after seeing it in 2018, after experiencing elements of it in 2017, and after hearing about your guys' experience in 2006, really got me to sit down thinking about, okay, assuming that we're facing a wall strategy, how do we crack it? How do we beat it? And that turned out to be important foundational knowledge for later on. So I'll be grateful. So yeah, I'll say C tier.
Yeah. I would also say C tier. The final was such anticlimactic. There were some really good games during that week, and pretty enjoyable tournament overall. But the finals was a bit naff.
Yeah. Taking the tournament as a whole, was great. Like I have no issues with the tournament as a whole. But again, as we've been saying, we're grading it on the final itself.
Yeah.
And that the final itself was left a lot to be desired.
Exactly right. If you were to give a grade to the awards dinner, where would that rank?
Well,
D for darkness.
If we can also count the stuff that happened after we went back to the caravan park when we did the real awards dinner, then it was pretty damn good.
It was pretty good, yeah.
It was just the stuff in the park. It was.
We might have to. I reckon we have to do.
It was still. It was a nice, like, cool and chill evening. It's not like it was a bad thing to be in the park. You just couldn't fucking see anything.
Let's do one of those later on, shall we? I think that's a good idea. We'll do another one of these Tiermakers at some point, and it'll be a little less centered around the Laserforce, which is basically how our show is. Right, we're at the business end, or the recent end. 2019, Detroit hosts the finals. Detroit A versus Brisbane. Some standout things from this week.
10 teams. It was the first time that we had done basically division play, where we had two groups of 5 teams each.
Yep.
So you played basically 2 matches against people who were in your division, and then you played 1 match against teams who were out of your division for seeding, which was a really interesting system. We got in more games than I anticipated that we would. Despite it being a 10-team tournament, I felt like there was still a pretty good amount of play, and there was still a lot of play that happened in finals, because I think we dropped the lowest 2 teams before we went into finals.
Yeah.
We did an 18 double E from there. This was fine.
The first time that we had live commentary, I believe.
That sounds right.
Probably, yeah.
Because that out of that we had Wolfie and Morange were 2 standouts from the commentary team for that year.
Duo.
So good.
Correct.
You ended up with rhabdomyolysis. That's made up.
Rhabdomyolytis.
That's made up. Don't make things up.
It's cramps.
Oh, okay. I got cramps.
It's cramps, but like fancier.
Oh, you got fancy cramps. Right on.
Fancy cramps. Mm-hmm. Okay, Rusty, you have yourself to blame for that, since you and Fredo and Tom went on a fucking food tour bender in the whole week leading up to that Nats. I think, didn't you say you put on like 4 kilos just traveling with those 2 idiots? So you have yourself to blame for that one, mate. That wasn't just Father Time.
Yeah, you cramped all the food in your face. It was way more fucked up than cramp.
Whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever.
The final series.
So this finals was one that I got to watch fully as a spectator because I wasn't there, and this was such an entertaining watch. This for me is another S tier final, because the games were all on a knife edge. There were so many that there were so many like little things within the game where like, oh, that that nuke canceled, and if that nuke doesn't get canceled, then those people die, but those people didn't die because that nuke didn't get canceled, and now it's reset and we're good.
Yeah.
There were so many little things like that, or oh, you could tell somebody was on an attack, and oh, they got taken down at just the right moment to not get that last medic hit, and so that medic lived another 30 seconds and was able to throw out a few more lives to rebalance the game a little bit. Yeah, this was a very entertaining watch.
It was like watching two boxers throw haymakers at each other. Is kind of what it felt like. It was awesome. Even and
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, obviously it's harder to kind of, know live counts and stuff whilst you're watching from a rest position. But that's kind of how it like you could feel this like confidence from Josh especially. Like Scythe had this like awesome confidence about him in the maze. You could kind of like feel it watching him. And yeah, it was pretty dope. Yeah.
So I wasn't a spectator in the same sense that Than was seeing the scoreboard. I was head ref for this finals match, and I have never been more stressed out reffing a game of laser tag in my life than in this
I
final
say we
series.
take off and nuke the entire site from orbit.
I say that too. So I had to go back and look because I didn't remember exactly what the point differential was or how it had proceeded until I went back and looked at LF stats between not just the final match, but the last two matches put together where the bracket flipped back and forth. The two matches were decided by a combined total of less than 10,000 points.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
So there were no elims. Any elim by either team would have given them enough points to sweep either of those matches. So it was crazy, crazy close. And it also, of course, marked the first time that a U.S. team had beaten a Brisbane team. I was definitely pretty gutted that it wasn't one of my teams that did it, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys. Scythe was not going to let them lose, but it certainly wasn't just Scythe. They all played an incredibly great team together. I mean, great performances from Micro and Juan and Rhea and Ghosty and all of those people, just to do the job that they did. So yeah, this was a classic finals match that was super close, very well contested. It's S tier.
Yeah, I concur. Good job. Right, lucky last 2023. As you can see, there was quite a large gap between drinks. Which makes us all very sad, but whatever. Shit happens.
I mean, there was a kind of event in Syracuse in 2021, but it wasn't a full 5-day event. And once again, the outcome was not in doubt. Syracuse A rolled over everybody.
D tier for sure. USA West versus Brisbane. I agree. D tier. Didn't have the hosts team in the finals. Nobody cares.
Nah, I think this is another one that needs to go S tier because again, this was another case of two very, very good teams that were very evenly matched, that were throwing haymakers at fuck. Talking is hard when you're on a podcast. Apparently, I need to learn how to do it better.
Nah, just keep going, Matt.
I talk good.
Yeah.
I talk all purdy and stuff.
But it was two teams that were so evenly matched, and you could tell that we're making a bunch of on-the-fly adjustments. Now, I mean, you always make on-the-fly adjustments in every game. That's the nature of Space 5. That's what happens. But the level of on-the-fly adjustments that you could tell were being made was just ridiculous.
Well, it changed the mirror of how our maze is played, which is awesome. If you can go in and like so technically a neutral site for the finals.
Yep.
Real quick, I guess context hitting or context about this particular tournament. Obviously, we hadn't had a nationals for a number of years. This tournament was supposed to be played in 2020. If you add 4 COVID years to that, that's like a decade in regular years. So, you know, age has caught up with some of us and has improved others. It's the first time we had a Laserforce disc golf tournament. That's pretty cool. I think no, that's fine. But yeah, so all those things that you said then is I completely concur with. It was awesome. I unfortunately missed watching these finals because once again your boy was in hospital. Which, you know, I should just get them to put some sort of theater in there for me. I'll just watch nationals from hospital.
Or just have like doctors or paramedics on site to
Thanks,
just
Russ. Good to see you, brother.
deal with your problems at Lasers, so that way you could at least still go in and ref. I'm not gonna ask you to play, but come on, contribute something here,
Yeah,
Steve.
what a jerk. So selfish.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so let's drag 2023 up into S tier.
Well, I'm glad you guys said it because I didn't want to be the asshole and be like, oh yes, of course this is an S tier finals.
No,
for you, it's always gonna be.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, yes. Do I have some extra, good feelings about it because you got the win, DK? Yes, because I mean, you've been one of my best friends for longer than either one of us care to admit. And so seeing you get that win and knowing that you got that win was fucking great. But even outside of that, the level at which that final was played and the back and forth on it, like there's really nowhere else that it could have been.
So let's very quickly have a look at where some of the stuff is. It's the first thing I would like to do is I want to move 2003 down a D tier. I think the finals directly contributed to the death of competitive laser tag in Australasia for at least 2, if not 3 years. Maybe 2 years. Let's say 2 years.
That is kind of important context.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna knock 2015 for the same reason
Exactly
in the States, then I guess the same standard has to apply to that.
Yeah.
So with that though, I'd like to move 2010 from D up to C.
2010 Oakley versus Brisbane.
Because there was nothing necessarily wrong
Yeah.
with that particular. It was just there.
Yeah.
So everything that's in D tier has some sort of either negative or just fucked up. Like 2013 in there is in there because of it having a very futile game because we just got countered and crushed.
Because me and Than shit the bed. It happens.
Correct. Yeah. But
it is our fault that this is a D tier.
So then would it be D or would it be C? It's C because it was like a whatever finals.
No,
it's just so much worse than anything in C tier in terms of
I'm comfortable leaving 2013 in D tier because of the second game of finals being so futile.
Yeah.
Like I have to put it in D tier so that way you guys know that I'm not biased in favor of finals in which I played.
Well, I mean, if you look at S tier, like the first one is one that me and Than won, and the second one is one that you 2023 you won. So yeah, there's a little bit of bias, maybe.
It's all right.
They're still good because those two were both tournaments that were from the standpoint of participants of the finalists were both on neutral ground, and I think in both cases it was actually the team who was second on the ladder going into finals who ended up winning that tournament.
Yeah,
which
right.
I think also makes the finals more dramatic when you have people move up from where their ranking was beforehand.
Yeah. If you look at least 2008, 2023, those years were played again in pretty there's not really many negatives at all about those particular finals. I'd say the same thing with 2019. Maybe some internal team struggles, but nothing.
I mean,
that,
there was intensity for sure, and there were like in any situation, there were some interpersonal issues, but it didn't rise to the level of like this team and this team can't stomach to be in the same room together or something like that.
Yeah,
There were tense moments, but it's a really highly competitive situation too, so it didn't like ruin the week.
Yeah.
2 finals, Brisbane, Lhasa, and ST. Feels bad. I think like
Sorry, bro.
So
Sorry, Rusty.
unfortunately, like
Sorry, bro.
when you look at the favorite team and the favorite team gets beat in a final series, that kind of, I think, elevates the the enjoyment for everyone else.
Yeah. Nobody wants to watch the Belichick Brady Patriots stomp a team 37-0 in the Super Bowl. Like, that's just not dramatic.
I'm pretty happy with the rest with how everything else looks. Like,
I mean, 2008, 2009, when we first were talking about doing this system, I had just suggested like we do what were the top 5 finals matches in your opinion, and essentially like those are the finals that are in S and A tier.
Yeah.
For me, so I think we kind of have consensus on that.
Yeah.
The only ones that I really wasn't sure about were 2006, 2007 because I didn't witness them first person, but like those were really good finals matches as far as I understand. I know from 2006, I heard from you guys.
So 2006 was, I think the A tier is probably very, very good for that because, yeah, like I said, whilst it was very one-sided, like Brisbane did clean our clocks, the way they did it was just awesome, brilliant. It was genius.
Assholes.
Yeah, fucking jerks.
I got them back for you.
I'm pretty happy with that, with the way that all kind of shook out. That was, really cool.
Yeah, I think, and I think we definitely save this, put it into the Discord, ask for see what other people think as well. But yeah, I'm not unhappy with anything that's in there.
That's
so,
there was obviously pre 2003 Nats that have happened as well, but we didn't put them in mostly because I couldn't really remember what happened at any of them.
And Rusty, I'm not going to feel that bad for you because you played in like 19 out of these 20 finals that we just discussed. So yes, you have some that are in D tier, you have some that are in S tier, you have some that are in A tier. Because you like play it every fucking year, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive to be fair. The year 2000 was D tier. What year was that? Was that Sugarland? No. What year was 2000?
I don't know where it was held down under.
Oh.
Was that
Oakley?
That wasn't New South Wales.
No, it was Oakley.
Was that the one where everyone shit themselves? Is that one?
I don't know.
Might be.
Just the pie. Yeah. Got the pie.
I don't know if it was that one or one of the Gosford Nats back in the day.
Right.
There's some things that have basically like, they're not even the category of legend anymore. They've like faded into myth. That it's like Townsville and Gosford and all of these Nats are from like time immemorial that basically only Trajan Night Owl remember.
Yeah, one day we'll all be dust, and it won't matter. Let me quickly switch over to here. That was really fun. I'm glad we got to do that. It was such a, like you said, Rusty. That was a great
great trip down memory lane.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
I think this, you can't really argue too many of those. I would love to do this again, but like for the after
next
parties.
Time awards dinners.
Yeah. We might save that for a few months when we get real desperate for content. But yeah, I think it's probably worthwhile doing.
Sweet.
Acting like we're not desperate for content every week.
There's definitely fingernails on the sides of the bottom of that barrel. We are not here next week. Next week is Disc Golf Nationals here in New Zealand, and this guy decided he was going to play. So I'm playing a different kind of nationals next week. It's a 4-day thing, so
Good.
I'll
Go get another Nats trophy, Steve.
Oh, yeah, good one. Tier list for beards and hairstyles. Well, I know who's at the top. But yeah,
And it's not even close.
we'll be back hopefully the following week, which will be just in time for us to do some sort of Super Bowl podcast.
The Super Bowl of Laserforce.
Hell yeah! Not fair too many ball players. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you, boys.
All right, we'll talk.
Thank you guys for hanging out. DK, very nice to have you back in the chair, my friend. It was nice to see you.
Good to see you guys again.
What about the Superb Owl? Oh yeah, we should do a Superb Owl. That sounds like super bowels. And whilst I do have super bowels, we're not going to do a show.
We're all friends with a superb owl.
I'll try and do some streaming this week on the channel. We're all over the place. We're bloody all over the place, but that's okay.
We always are.
I hope you guys enjoyed the tier. It was a nice novel thing to do on the podcast. It's very, very enjoyable. Cheers.
That was not novel for the podcast.
For this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you next time. Ka kite anō.
I say we.
I've been throwing daggers in the night. I've been chasing all the stars, stealing all their lights. The cut so sharp, cut so deep. If they seem to hit their target, must be what we reap. 'Cause you don't know what I know. You don't feel the way I feel. All these places I wanna go makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I've been throwing daggers in my dreams. If they seem to hit their target, it's harder than it seems. 'Cause you don't know what I know. And you don't feel the way I feel. And all these places I wanna go makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I'm a well-known stranger, walking my own path. Gave up all my mysteries just to get a laugh. You keep me hanging on so tight. Sometimes I just have to